Hello folks, thank you for joining in. I am Amagi and today's tutorial is delivery of the promise I made in my previous tutorial, and the promise was to make the seamless movement of fireflies in Blender. Before jumping in today's tutorial, I want to make a note here that I have copied the process of making fireflies from a YouTube channel called Default Cube, and I have modified that process a bit to make the movement of fireflies seamless. I'll put that video in description of this video in case you want to check that video first. And side note, I will totally recommend you guys to watch that video first. I doubt I'll be able to explain as much as clear as this guy did. I'll put timestamp from where I start explaining how to make seamless movement of fireflies. With that being said, let's jump into today's tutorial. So what you need to do first is to add a UV sphere or a cube. It doesn't matter because it's going to be a emitter and will not show in render. So let me add a UV sphere first. Open a geometry node editor. Click on new after selecting your emitter. Wait a minute. So add a new node. Add a realize instance node. Put it between these two. So what it will basically do that it will break your geometry into vertices, faces and edges. After this, add in a distribute points on faces node. It's a pretty self-explanatory. So you can see these points and we need to manipulate these points. To manipulate these points, add in a set position node. It have some inputs that will let us do that. Now add in a noise texture. Plug the color output to the position input and you will notice that it is clustering all the points together and we need to fix that. To fix that, add in a vector math node. Okay, after adding this, put -0.5 on all these axes. What it will do that it will center your all points. And now we need to offset this. So to do this, we need to duplicate this vector math node and place it here. Change the add function to scale and put some values here. Let me put 5 here. It looks good. Now duplicate this vector math node again, put it here and plug the normal output to this. So what it will do, that it will basically let me, how do I say that, it will help points move outward relative to the normals of emitter. I think you're getting me. It will help move all these points that you see outward relative to the emitter, that is our sphere. So let's animate these points first. Let me make a note here. This animation will be a temporary and we will not use this in our final render. So how do we animate this? We will use a simple expression of Blender, that is has frame, and what this expression does, that it transforms your object or texture by the number of frames. If you don't get it, don't worry. As I mentioned, we are not going to use this in our final animation, so just don't worry. This looks very fast. I will divide it by 400, I guess. Okay, it's way too slow. Let me change this to 200. Okay, let's change this to 100. Okay, change this 3D to 4D and copy this driver to this and delete this driver. Okay, looks good now. Okay, let's first change these points to a geometry. To do that, add in instance on point. Okay. Add in a UV sphere and plug the mesh output to instance input. We definitely want to decrease the size, so let's put segment value to 6 and rings value to 4, and let's reduce the radius to 0.03. Now every sphere is of the same size. We need to randomize that. To randomize that, we just need to plug the factor output of noise factor of noise texture to this scale input, and it will randomize the scale of it. Now we also need to smooth these hard surfaces, so add in a set shade smooth. If not, enable this options, enable this, and it's looks good by this far. Let's first loop this. So let's first loop this animation, then we will move on to texturing. We will add material to this fireflies. So to loop this, simply duplicate noise texture, and go to the first frame. Change the scale value to again 1 to know what we are going to do. Change this value to 0 and this, and delete this driver and change this value to 0 as well. Now keyframe this value at first frame and keyframe this value at last frame. Type in 1 in this texture and keyframe this value. Now go to the first frame again and type in -1 here and keyframe this value. Now we need to add a mix RGB node. Put it here. Plug this color output to here, and we need to keyframe this value at 0 and type in 1 here and keyframe this value on last frame. Okay, change the timeline to dopset. If you don't see any keyframes, disable this and you will be able to see your keyframes. Hit T on your keyboard and change it to linear. Hope this will remove easing and easing out effect from our animation. Okay, this looks good now. It is looping seamlessly, but you will still see some flickering because there is because this noise texture factor is also affecting the size of this fireflies, so we need to loop this as well. So duplicate this mix node and put it here. Keyframe this value at 0 and 1 in last frame. Let's increase the scale value to 5 at least on both texture. As you can see, it added a bit of chaos to our fireflies. You can, let me put 3. It looks more like a fireflies now. Now we need to add material to it, so simply add in a set material node and put it here. I've already made a material for it. This material simply contain a let me show you. As you can see, it have emission BSDF and the color is bit orange and the strength is 5. That's all it have. So after creating your material, just reference it here and you're good to go. Let me move this emitter down a bit so it looks good. And it's looping seamlessly, and that's what we wanted to do, and we have achieved that. So that's all for this video. If you learned something new, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more video like this. Thank you.